For example, as recent as 2009, when we had all of these intentional subprime loans that were given to black people, despite credit score, despite what was the other one? It was despite income and credit score, black people were pushed into subprime loans, and so that the housing crisis directly impacted black people significantly worse than its white counterparts. That was white supremacy. That wiped out black wealth. So these things do still impact us. These things have existed for quite some time.
A system that allowed blacks to get homes when without that system they wouldn't have been allowed to get it is now white supremacist. So that would be like a system that allowed blacks to get into Princeton and Harvard when they wouldn't have been able to get in it. And then they failed out because they really weren't qualified to do it. Like a lot of what affirmative action has done, has given blacks opportunities that they technically weren't qualified to get. When they failed, that in itself is white supremacy, that these blacks could have said, I cannot afford this. No matter how much you're offering, I know I can't, I'm not going to take it. Or they could have paid it. It's white supremacy because they gave them an opportunity to get something that without the subprime loans, they would have never been able to get it.
So let me explain to you why you're wrong here. Again, I'm going to give you a simple analogy. Say we gave people loans say we allowed people to come into a classroom and we said, hey, we're going to let you into this classroom. But once we let the black people into the classroom, once they got there, we raised the curriculum standard so high that it was impossible for them to continue. It was impossible for them to pass. And then we look at their failure and say, so you must not have been qualified for the class at all. While meanwhile, we're giving a different class to white people where there is no change in standard. The reason why this analogy holds up so well is because with these subprime loans, what they had was variable interest rates, meaning we go through the rubrics necessary to determine whether you qualify for this loan or not. After we've gone through that rubric, now, once you're in bed with this loan, we raise the interest rate up, sometimes increasing your mortgage by, I don't know, 60%, 50%, 70%. So now you can no longer afford your mortgage. They did this specifically with these subprime loans because they had variable interest rates. Meanwhile, white people with lower credit scores and lower income were not given those subprime loans. They intentionally steered specifically black borrowers into them. They then settled with the government to the tunes of billions of dollars, none of the vast majority of which did not go back to the consumers. So then now black people are desperate to hold on to these homes, hoping the interest rate goes back down so that they're back able to get the mortgage rates that they're supposed to, and instead they're now investing their life savings, etc., until they are eventually foreclosed on, meaning all wealth put into that property is now completely wiped out. That's what happened to black people. So then to simply say, well, we gave you the home, but when we gave you the home with factors such as variable interest rates, which are guaranteed to make you lose that home, then that's not truly giving me the opportunity. You gave me the opportunity to fail. You didn't give me the opportunity to build wealth, because if the interest rate stayed the same and I was able to continue to make my payments until the house became completely mine, then all of that mortgage and all of that property value and the growth thereof would be completely wealth. But they did the exact opposite because they knew by raising those interest rates that they would not be able to afford those things, which is why they settled to the tunes of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. So it's not just, it is white supremacist to intentionally target black people with these specific loans, which we have the evidence for.
You intentionally targeted a group of people who were begging you for an opportunity to be able to get a house. And if you use the standard across the board that everybody had to use, they would have never been able to get a house.
Oh, you misheard me. Remember I told you that they did the study and they found that black people with higher incomes and higher credit scores than their white counterparts were still given subprime loans. So if we're only controlling for the black people who have more income and credit score, the two largest factors on which are determining the factors of your loan, if we're controlling for only those groups and still giving them subprime loans, that becomes predatory. It's no longer the same rubric. That's my point.